Well, hi, I'm Ben Felder here in the Oklahoman's video studios, and joining me is Governor-elect Kevin Stitt's nomination for Secretary of Agriculture, Blayne Arthur. Blayne, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on the nomination.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me in today. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, so it's Thursday. The announcement was made this morning. This is a nomination by the Governor-elect. It will require Senate confirmation, so still some steps to go through.
Yes.
You know, so far there's been a lot of support for his nominations. I was looking through the list of endorsements, some lawmakers and many representatives of the agriculture community here in Oklahoma that were celebrating your announcement. I want to start you with this question. One of the things that I read actually in the Stillwater newspaper, your hometown, where you're from, had said that you had a chance to meet Governor-elect Stitt on the campaign trail when he was running, and that you just kind of shared with him your ideas about agriculture in the state and rural issues. And I'm curious, can you give us a peek into that conversation? What were some of the issues that you were bringing up with Stitt?
You know, absolutely. I got to meet him. My family and my son particularly is involved in showing cattle, and so he had stopped by the Tulsa State Fair, and you know, was just visiting with people and getting to know folks. And you know, my son got a picture with him, which he thought was a really neat thing to have. But just talking about ag and what's important to producers and important to rural Oklahoma. And you know, I think the thing that's most exciting about the governor-elect is that he cares about all Oklahomans and has this great vision and this great passion for things that we can do to improve Oklahoma and make it a top 10 state. And you know, I kind of walked away from that conversation going, you know, number one, he's a really good guy. He's just a good person. But number two, he's got some fabulous ideas and fabulous energy and enthusiasm for our state, which, you know, made me excited, especially when he was elected, that knew that we'd have a person in that position that would do good things for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and when you think, I mean, agriculture is something that you know very well. I mean, a resume in different areas. You've worked for the Department of Agriculture. You're the current executive director for the Oklahoma 4-H Foundation.
Yes.
Your family has a cattle farm east of Stillwater.
We do.
You raise cattle for show. I mean, when you think about kind of where the agriculture industry in Oklahoma is right now, what are the biggest needs? What do you see personally, and what are you hearing from other farmers and ranchers?
You know, ag can be very cyclical and very up and down. You know, commodity markets can be great, but can be kind of unforgiving sometimes too. The age of our producers here in Oklahoma, the average age is 58, so that's kind of on the upper end. So we need to really look at encouraging younger producers to get into agriculture, and different ways that the department can provide resources and direction for them to kind of follow that path to get into ag. Also, rural Oklahoma is changing, and so there are some opportunities there too that at the department I think we can look at some efficiencies at the department that then we can direct some of those savings to promote rural economic development and rural growth. We don't do much ag processing here in Oklahoma. We grow all these wonderful commodities and then we send them to other states to do the processing. What a wonderful thing to have that done here in Oklahoma. You know, so working with Department of Commerce and to say, identifying good locations, identifying things that make sense for Oklahoma, you know, that's really going to give some stability to our producers. Producers are looking to diversify their operations, doing some things they maybe have never done before, implementing technologies. So ag, you know, Mother Nature can be kind of a challenging, formidable foe for ag producers, and the commodity markets can, but most of our ag producers love what they do. They love the land, they love taking care of their livestock, they love growing those crops that feed everyone, and so they're a tough, enthusiastic group, and I think the department and the administration can do some things to kind of really support those efforts and really improve the next 5 to 10 years the outlook for our producers here.
Yeah, you mentioned kind of the importance of raising the next generation of farmers and ranchers. And it's common and here in Oklahoma and across the country, you talk to a lot of farmers who have been farming in their family for generations, but you're seeing more where that next generation may not be staying for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
Your work with the 4-H Foundation, with FFA. First time I met you was actually you were advocating for your school. So I know education and youth are kind of important parts for you. How do you go about kind of trying to encourage the next generation of Oklahomans to consider this as a career? I mean, what things can we do to kind of help connect younger Oklahomans with the agriculture industry?
Well, I think that, two things that we've got right now, this tremendous 4-H and FFA program here in Oklahoma. They're some of the top programs in the nation. I mean, we've got the best programs here, but it's educating those youth, but then also saying, here's some opportunities that you may not have thought about. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, you've grown up with mom and dad and you've worked, long hours, and the way they approach their operation is this, but, here's some resources, here's maybe a way you diversify. Maybe you want to go home and you open an agritourism operation alongside your parents' traditional farming operation. So I think it's having a really good dialogue with them to say, there is opportunity here in Oklahoma. We want you to be in production agriculture. Here's some resources that we can get to you. Here's a path, that we can kind of guide you down on that, because I don't know that historically we have reached out to young folks and said, we want you to come back to ag. Do you know what I mean? We want you to come back to ag. And they bring so many, they've grown up in a different era of technology. And, some of our older producers, some of them implement some of those technologies, but that younger group, they love technology, and they have new ideas and new enthusiasm, and that can make an operation totally different. We have one of our dairies here in Oklahoma just put in their first robot for milking cows, which is the first operation we had here in Oklahoma to do that. I mean, that's technology at work making an operation different than it's ever been. So I think we've really got to encourage them and recruit them and let them know that we need them and want to help them in that process.
Yeah. And finally, one of the hallmarks for Stitt on the campaign trail was efficiency and transparency across government and every agency. Tell me, what does that look like at the Department of Agriculture? What do you see like as your role in fulfilling that mission, and what are some steps that can be taken to improve the efficiency and transparency of this important agency for the state?
First of all, I think there's a lot of agency boards and commissions that are out there, and I think taking a real close look at those and why they're there and the importance, and maybe changing some of that up to make the work that the agency does more impactful and more important to Oklahomans. The agency is an appropriate agency, so that's taxpayer dollars that are paying those employees, and I think really saying where are those dollars going within programs in the agency. Are they going to things, are they supporting Made in Oklahoma products and companies that then promotes economic growth and development? Are they supporting our forestry division that helps respond to wildfire? I mean, so there's so many directions that those funds go, but being very transparent with citizens about here are how funds are being allocated. Here's what we know is important to you as Oklahomans, as consumers of ag products, and that's how those, because I don't know that historically we have been good at sharing that information and how those funds are used, and then making taxpayers feel like the agency is accountable for how those funds are being utilized.
Yeah. Well, I said finally, I actually want to throw in one more question before we wrap up, and that is your post is historic. There's never been a female Secretary of Ag, and so now you're in line to be the first woman to hold this position. Tell me about the significance of this, because this is an industry that sometimes is viewed as a male-dominated industry. There's so many incredible female farmers and members of the agriculture community. Just tell me about the importance of this, and just kind of what different perspective do you bring, and how do you think that'll benefit the state?
Very excited to be selected, very excited to represent all of ag, but especially those females in the ag industry. And my hope is that we just bring a different perspective of the farming operation. A lot of our operations are farming or family operations where husband and wife are both kind of a team in that effort, and a lot of times the wife may say, hey, why don't we approach this way, and that may be a better way than things are done before. And also too, I hope that it encourages our young women in ag in the 4-H program, in the FFA program, to know whatever they have their sights on in the ag industry, if it's to go home and take over the family's operation, that they as a young lady, as a female, can do that and can achieve that. If they want to go work in the ag industry or ag business, that there are spots for them, and they can be great contributors to the overall ag industry. So I want to represent all of our ag producers, but also encourage. I have a son, but I also have a daughter. And I hope that she sees whatever she decides to pursue in life, that you know, the world is kind of open to her and whatever she wants to do. So very excited to represent all of ag, and of course to be a female in the position as well.
Yeah, and I imagine it's important because you're going to be traveling across the state and representing the agriculture industry, and I imagine you'll be going to schools, and you talk about trying to recruit, you know, that next generation. I mean, that's going to be important for young women across the state who may be thinking about that career, to be able to, you know, have someone that they can envision themselves as being, both as a, you know, a state leader and a farmer and rancher.
Absolutely. You know, I of course want to encourage young ladies to be in ag production or ag business, whatever it might be, but you know, we also want young ladies to be interested in if it's state government, if it's, you know, in policy decision or making, or, you know, whatever capacity that is, that really whatever you have an interest in, there is a place for you, you know, here in Oklahoma, and to be successful and to be supported in your career path.
Yeah. Well, Blayne Arthur, the nomination for Secretary of Ag by Governor-elect Kevin Stitt. Blayne, thank you so much for your time, and good luck moving forward.
Thank you so much.